My heart wants Amy back!
Everybody, our friend wants Amy back.
Launch idea!
I will agree to anything.
Fans and non-fans alike tuned in to see how Rick and Morty Season 7 would do without Justin Roiland when it eventually premiered. Dan Harmon and showrunner Scott Marder had the laborious process of hiring a successor when the co-creator was sacked. Roiland voiced all the major characters and lesser ones like Mr. Poopa Butthole, so it wasn't simple. The question of whether Rick and Morty will stick around for the intended 10 seasons was raised by it. When factors like the SAG-AFTRA writers' strike were taken into consideration, it seemed as if the empire may come to an abrupt end. It would have been unfortunate since the franchise has been in discussions for spin-offs, a Rick and Morty movie with Zack Snyder, and commercial arrangements with companies of the same caliber as McDonald's. It is, in a word, a massive brand. Fortunately, Rick and Morty gets the new chapter off to a great start, confirming that Roiland's voice work won't be missed. Roiland was accused of a plethora of things, one of which was domestic abuse in 2020. He was exonerated of that in March 2023, but this year has also seen charges of sexual assault and abuse. It made Harmon feel embarrassed, and Adult Swim quickly fired Roiland as a result. Marder even claimed that Roiland had been absent from the creative process for some time, after several staff members complained that Roiland was poisonous on the program. He just performed his voice acting, which helped build a bridge. But before making the appropriate decisions, Marder and Harmon faced a Herculean job of listening to thousands of voices. In the end, they chose John Allen as Poopa Butthole, Harry Belden as Morty, and Ian Cardoni to play Rick. It wasn't simple listening to thousands of voices, as they admitted to The Hollywood Reporter, but they were convinced they had chosen the proper candidates. Nevertheless, they kept the new identities a secret until the premiere in order to avoid the controversy. They were aware of how harsh and critical the online community could be. Some people criticized the Rick and Morty Season 7 trailer when it was released. They thought Rick wasn't hitting several notes, particularly the high ones, and that Morty was a little muffled. But one must keep in mind that speaking a few memorable lines is far different from being the character and engaging in conversation. Roiland won't ever be equaled after that. The idea that someone's voice could ever be completely imitated is in any event unrealistic. That being said, a show like Rick and Morty would constantly be under close inspection, creating a high-stress environment where everyone would study each and every element in their own little bubble. Sadly, they don't pay attention to how the delivery ties into other lines or how the context shapes the lines. After all, it is just a trailer. Some complaints were valid, but in this instance, the audience needed to be patient and wait to see what the whole show had to offer. It pays off since it's really tough to detect anything changed after the first episode aired. Up until that moment, non-fans who are unaware of the exchange cannot distinguish between the two. The great majority of supporters agree that everything is going well and reiterate that there is no need to be concerned. At most, it was a very mild panic. It's reasonable to claim that everything works after the Season 7 premiere. Even if one had to choose a flaw, Rick and Morty sound quite similar. Even Alan does a great job as Mr. Poopa Butthole. The substitutes seem as natural as can be, so there is no need to destroy the show or desire that artificial intelligence might replace Roiland. Naturally, they emulate the original voice actor since that is how voiceover work is done, but they still do it in their own distinctive way. Still, the intonations, quirks, enunciation, and timing give the impression that Roiland's essence is present in these characters. In the end, the changes are scarcely perceptible unless one does a deep dive and audio audit equivalent to squinting at a picture. Even the potential for franchise expansion is implied. Belden's voice is ideal for a teenage Morty who is developing, going through puberty, and who has a tiny vocal crack. Rick Prime, aka Evil Rick, would likewise benefit from Cardoni's somewhat softer voice. He has to stand out a little bit as the evil person stalking Rick's family, so this may really be a good thing. When additional media like comics, anime, and many more eat away at the IP, they may extend the shelf life of the series and keep the brand alive.